My daughter, stop what you are doing right now. Before anything else, I need you to notice something. Do your arms feel restless right now? Is there a heaviness sitting on your chest? A pressure you have been carrying for weeks that you cannot trace back to any single cause? Have you felt that strange tightness in your spirit? That sense that something around you no longer fits? That your current season has become too small, too heavy, too dry for who you are becoming? That is not anxiety. That is not overthinking. That is not your body failing you. That is me. I have been pressing on your spirit with this discomfort on purpose, because I refuse to let you grow comfortable in a place I never intended to be permanent. There is a new place already prepared with your name over it, a new season, a new assignment, and it is closer than you have allowed yourself to believe. What you have been experiencing, that low-grade restlessness, that persistent sense of something unfinished, that ache you could not put into words, was not a sign that something is wrong with you. It was a sign that something is right with me. I was stirring you. I was making it impossible to settle. I was withdrawing the peace that kept you still, because stillness in a season that has already expired is not rest. It is delay. And I do not delay the plans I have written over your life. I need you to hear this clearly before we go any further. The new place is real. It is not a wish. It is not a possibility you might earn if you behave correctly in the next few weeks. It is already prepared. The address is already written in heaven. The atmosphere is already being arranged. The people who belong to your next chapter are already being positioned. The provision is already set. All that remains is for you to recognize it when it steps in front of you and to cross the threshold without flinching. That is what we are doing today, my daughter. I am building the recognition in your spirit before your eyes ever see the door, so that when June arrives and the door opens, you will already know. June is not just the next month on the calendar. June is your appointed month. June is the month I have been holding in reserve since before you entered this long season of waiting. Every closed door, every plan that unraveled, every morning you woke up and did not recognize your own life, every prayer that seemed to go nowhere, every night you asked me if I had forgotten your name, every single one of those moments was a thread being woven into the tapestry of what June will unfold. You did not see it. I did not ask you to see it then, but I am asking you to believe it now. June will not leave you where it found you. The discomfort that has been pressing against your chest for weeks is not a sign of breakdown. It is not evidence that you are falling apart, or that your faith is failing, or that you have somehow missed what I had for you. My daughter, that discomfort is the strain of a season that can no longer contain where I am taking you. You have outgrown the container. The walls of the current chapter are pressing in because I have been growing you beyond them. The restlessness in your body is the spiritual reality that you are already too large for what is too small. The heaviness you feel is not grief, though grief may have been part of the journey. It is the weight of a season that has already completed its purpose, but has not yet formally released you. I was making room. That is the only way to understand what the last season did to you. Every relationship that grew distant, every opportunity that did not come together the way you planned, every project that stalled, every door that stood in front of you and would not open. I was making room. I was loosening your grip on what cannot go with you. I know you held some of those things tightly. I know some of them were precious to you. I know you brought them to me in prayer and asked me to restore them, and I did not do what you asked in the way you expected. That was not cruelty. That was my refusal to allow you to carry into the new season what belongs to the old one. Not because those things were bad, but because what I have prepared for you requires different hands, a different posture, a different degree of freedom than carrying the old season would allow. Your spirit has known that something could not remain the same. You have felt it long before today. You have tried to silence it, tried to name it something else, tried to spiritualize it away or logic it into submission, but it kept returning, that quiet knowing, that persistent sense that the chapter is turning even when the circumstances gave you no visible evidence. I want you to know that knowing was not your imagination. It was not wishful thinking. It was me speaking directly to the deepest part of you in the language that cannot be faked, the language of inner knowing. of quiet certainty that does not need noise to be real. That was my voice in your spirit saying, "This is not your permanent address. There is more, there is a head, there is a new place, and you are going to it. And I want to address something else that has been happening alongside the restlessness. I want to speak to the shame that sometimes arrived with it, because some of you looked at this restlessness and interpreted it as ingratitude. You told yourself, I should be content with what I have. I should be grateful. Other people have less. Who am I to want more? And you buried the stirring under layers of self-correction and called it humility. But my daughter, what I was placing in your spirit was not ingratitude. It was not a character flaw dressed up as longing. What I was building in you was vision. And vision always feels like restlessness before it has a name. Vision always feels like holy dissatisfaction with what cannot contain what I have called you to become. The discomfort was not evidence of a problem inside you. It was evidence of a calling that had outgrown the ceiling of the current chapter. Stop apologizing for wanting what I placed in you. Stop mistaking what I designed as yearning for more of me as a spiritual problem to be corrected. The ache was mine. I put it there on purpose, and June is where it resolves. Type I receive my new season in June, not as a wish, not as a hope, as a declaration over what I have already prepared for you. Type it slowly and mean every letter, because when you write those words, you are planting your name into what heaven has already arranged. You are not asking, you are claiming. There is a difference between those two postures, and your spirit knows it. Every letter of that declaration lands in the record that heaven keeps over your life. Type it now. My daughter, I need you to look back with me, not to rehearse the pain, but to see what the pain was doing. Every moment you called delay, I was calling preparation. Every detour that frustrated you, I was calling protection. Every plan that fell apart in your hands after you had already counted on it, I was calling redirection. I know that is difficult to receive when you are standing in the middle of the ruins of what you hoped for. I know that words like preparation and redirection can feel dismissive when the loss was real and the grief was heavy. I am not dismissing any of it. I am naming it correctly, and naming it correctly is the beginning of receiving it rightly. You called it delay. I called it preparation. You called it confusion. I called it separation. You called it a closed door. I was protecting your future by refusing to let you settle in what was too small for your calling. You called it rejection. I called it selection. I was selecting you out of what could not carry you where I was taking you. You called it silence. I called it concentration. I was concentrating every resource of my attention on what I was building for you in the place you could not yet see. Every single thing that broke your hope in the old season was serving the architecture of what June will open. Not one moment of pain was without purpose. Not one night of tears was wasted in the ledger of heaven. Every drop of what it cost you has been recorded, and every record will be redeemed. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans for peace and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11. My daughter, this was not written as a general promise for all of humanity in some vague cosmic sense, and nothing more. It was written as a specific word for the soul who is standing exactly where you are standing right now, looking at the wreckage of the season that was supposed to be permanent, and trying to make sense of why it did not stay. I know the plans. I know them. They are not uncertain. They are not subject to revision based on what the enemy tried to do in the last chapter. The plans I have written for your life were sealed before you were born, and they remain sealed now. The adversary did not have access to them. The people who tried to undermine you did not have access to them. The losses did not alter them. The delay did not cancel them. I know the plans, and the plans are for peace and for a future and for hope. And that is what June is carrying. Have you felt lately that your current season has become too small for who you are becoming? Have you felt doors closing that once seemed permanent? Tell me in the comments below, because what you are describing is not bad luck. It is divine rearrangement. When heaven begins to move you toward something new, the first thing that happens is that the old thing stops fitting. Comfort drains. Familiarity becomes friction. Things that once satisfied you no longer reach the depth of what you are carrying inside. That is not ingratitude. That is growth. That is me refusing to let you plateau in a season I designed to be temporary. I need to speak to you now about someone. There is someone who was present in the season that held you, and they were not a passive witness to your waiting. They were involved in it, not always loudly, not always in ways you could point to directly, but their voice became part of the inner conversation that kept you second-guessing the move. Their words settled into your spirit during moments of vulnerability, and they grew roots that sounded like your own thoughts. You would hear something that felt like your own uncertainty saying, "Not yet, not now, maybe later, maybe when things are more stable, maybe when you have more proof." And you thought that voice was wisdom, or caution, or discernment. But some of what you were hearing was not wisdom. It was the echo of someone who needed you to stay. I need you to understand the psychology of what happened, because understanding it is the beginning of your freedom from it. That person watched your restlessness. They saw you stirring. They saw the fire in you building for something different, something new, something bigger than the box you had both been living inside. And instead of calling that fire holy and encouraging you toward it, they used your restlessness against you. They interpreted your unease as evidence of instability. They called your longing immaturity. They named your faith recklessness and your vision fantasy. And they did this not because they hated you. They did it because your movement threatened their position. Your rise confronted their stillness. Your willingness to believe for something new exposed their decision to stop expecting anything to change. When you began to move, they felt the threat of the comparison. And rather than face what your movement was revealing about their own fear, they chose to speak delay over your life. Their words became the inner voice. "You are not ready. The timing is not right. Things could go wrong. You do not have what it takes. Stay a little longer. Wait until it is safer. Wait until you are more prepared." And every time you almost stepped forward, that voice would rise and you would pause, and the pause would feel like wisdom, and the wisdom would keep you in a season that was already over. I saw every moment of that. I watched it with full knowledge of what was happening, and I did not intervene by removing the voice, because I was teaching you something in the waiting that you could only learn under pressure. But now, I am naming it. That person spoke delay over a life I had marked for movement. Their words came against an assignment they did not have the authority to alter. And I want you to hear this clearly: no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. That voice, those words, that person whose influence kept you in the wrong season longer than you needed to stay, they will not have the final word over your June. The very person who said not yet will be forced to witness June. They will see the door opened. They will see the new place receive you. They will see the season arrive, and they will not be able to explain it with the logic they used to keep you still. The mouth that spoke delay will go silent when it sees what I prepared. They will not be able to steal what they could not stop, and they will not be able to diminish what they cannot deny. You do not need to say a word to them. You do not need to defend what I am doing in your life. You do not need to prove anything to anyone who used your vulnerability against you. June will speak for itself. I will speak through June on your behalf. Stay with me, my daughter. And if you have not already followed this channel, I want you to do that right now. Not because it is just a channel, but because what I am releasing in this season is not meant to reach you once. What comes next is specifically for the season you are about to enter. Press the follow button below. Let it be your declaration that you are positioning yourself to receive every word I am sending through this vessel. Type June is my appointed month. Write it boldly. Write it like you already know it is done. Because when you declare a month before you see it, you are doing what faith requires. You are saying, I trust what God has spoken more than I trust what I can currently see. That is not presumption. That is the vocabulary of the kingdom: declaration before manifestation, naming what is real before your eyes have confirmed it. Type it with the full weight of what it means. Your June is appointed, not wishful. Appointed. Write it and let heaven record it. My daughter, I want you to hear something about the moment when the right door appears. When the right place steps into view in June, it will not feel like casual curiosity. It will not feel like ordinary interest that you have to work up into excitement. It will not feel like something you need to convince yourself about. It will feel like recognition, like your spirit has arrived somewhere your eyes are only just discovering. Like a word being read that names something you have been carrying without language. You will feel your shoulders loosen before you make any decision. Your breathing will soften before your mind has finished processing what is in front of you. Your heart will quiet down before you have answered a single practical question. That is how I designed recognition to work for you. Not by noise, not by performance, not by artificial certainty manufactured through repetition, by peace, deep peace. The kind of peace that does not have to shout because it carries the authority of the one who prepared the place. In my Father's house are many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you. John 14:2. My daughter, he is a God who prepares places. He does not send his people into a new chapter empty-handed, confused, and left to find their own footing in unfamiliar terrain. He does not call them forward without making provision for where their peace will grow. The place I am leading you toward in June is not an experiment. It is not a best guess. It is not a door that swings open because circumstances aligned by accident. It is a prepared place. The word used in that verse carries the weight of specific, intentional, detailed preparation. The room is ready, the atmosphere is set, the provision is positioned. The people who belong to your next chapter have been placed there before you arrived. I am not sending you somewhere unknown. I am sending you somewhere I have already been, and I want you to walk through that door with the confidence of someone who was expected. The recognition you feel when the right door appears will not be limited to emotion. It will be practical. The right opportunity in June will bear the signature of something that only I could have orchestrated. The timing will be too specific to be coincidence. The provision will meet needs you did not even disclose to anyone. The people involved will have no natural reason to extend what they extend. The details will align in ways that exhaust every other explanation until only one remains. This was prepared for me, and when you see it, I am not asking you to wait for a second confirmation. I am not asking you to sit in it for another season and test whether it is real. I am asking you to walk through. Walk through without flinching. Walk through without looking back at the person who said you were not ready. Walk through without the old doubt resuming its position in your chest. Walk through because the one who prepared the place is the same one standing at the door saying, "This is what I meant when I told you there was more." I need to say something important about what happens in the gap between today and the moment the door opens. There will be days between now and June, between now and the moment of visible confirmation, when nothing feels like it is moving. Days when the recognition I am building in your spirit today feels distant, like something you heard once and cannot quite hold on to. Days when the practical weight of your current circumstances presses hard against the faith of what you are believing for. I know those days are coming. I am not surprised by them, and I do not want you to be. Those quiet days between the word and the manifestation are not evidence that the word was wrong. They are the natural terrain of the period I call the between, the time between when I speak it and when I release it into the visible. You are not supposed to see it yet. You are supposed to carry it. And the carrying is not passive. The carrying is an active posture of expectation. You carry the word the way a woman carries what is growing, with the knowledge that what you cannot yet see is already fully formed and already coming. Type, "I am being placed," not forgotten. Say it because there is a difference between the two and your spirit needs to hear it right now. You were never abandoned in the waiting. You were being positioned. The season that felt like silence was not the silence of a God who had moved on from your name. It was the focused silence of a God who was building. Type it now and let every lie that said otherwise lose its voice. Every whisper that told you the waiting meant you had been overlooked. Every darkness that tried to frame the delay as evidence of your inadequacy. Let them all go silent under the weight of what you just declared. You are being placed. You are being positioned. You are not forgotten, and you never were. My daughter, nothing you went through in the old season was wasted. I need you to receive that fully, not as a phrase, but as a fact with weight and precision. The grief you carried was not pointless mourning that I watched with helpless pity. The grief was clearing space. It was removing the attachment to what could not go forward, so that your hands would be empty enough to receive what June carries. The rejection you experienced was not evidence of your lack of worth. The rejection was the mechanism I used to separate you from what would have slowed you down, from what would have diluted the focus your next chapter requires, from what would have anchored you in a version of yourself that the new place has no room for. Every rejection was a separation event. Every closed door was a protection event. Every loss was a clearing event. And the full weight of what was cleared is exactly the room June walks into. The exhaustion you felt in the last season was not weakness. It was the natural result of calling survival peace for too long. I was teaching your heart to stop settling for the bare minimum of existence and calling it rest. I was teaching you to recognize the difference between the rest I give, which is deep and real and full, and the numbness that comes from carrying a season past its appointed end. You were tired because you were staying. You were depleted because the current place was no longer fed by what I was doing. And I allowed that depletion because I needed you to stop calling the old season comfortable. I needed the discomfort to become undeniable. I needed the exhaustion to become loud enough that no argument could keep you still when June opened the door. The prayers I did not answer in the way you asked. They were not rejection. They were protection. You do not know, and I will not fully show you now what was on the other side of some of those doors you knocked on in desperation. What looked like opportunity was, in several cases, a carefully constructed trap. What looked like the answer you needed was, in several cases, something that would have extended the old season by years and called it blessing. I protected your future by saying no to what your present longed for. I protected the assignment by refusing to release you into what would have consumed you without advancing you. Every unanswered prayer from the last chapter was either answered in a way you did not recognize at the time, or held in reserve for what June requires of you to arrive unencumbered. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? Isaiah 43:19, my daughter, the new thing is already in motion. The spring is already happening beneath the surface where you cannot yet see the growth. The ground is already moving even when it looks still from above. The new thing does not wait for your permission. It does not pause for your doubt to resolve itself. It springs forth according to my timing, and my timing for your life, says June. And shall you not know it? That question is not passive. It is an invitation to sharpen your recognition. It is me asking you directly when the new thing springs forth. Will you know it? Will you name it correctly? Will you receive it with open hands instead of clenched fists, holding on to the old season? I am preparing your heart right now to say yes, to know it when it comes, to call it by its right name when it arrives. My daughter, before we go further, I want to pause here, because as you receive this word, I know there is someone on your heart right now, someone in your family, in your circle, someone you love who has been carrying the same restlessness and has not yet received the word that names it. I want you to sow a seed today, not for yourself, but for them. Give on their behalf. When you sow into this ministry for someone else, you are reaching through the screen into their moment. You are being the hand that heaven uses to say, you are not alone. Your June is also coming. Visit the link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen. And as you give in their name, know that what you release for another, I will return to you with the full weight of what June was always meant to carry. You cannot outgive a God who has already prepared the place. Type, I receive everything God prepared for me, all of it, in June. Type it with the full weight of someone who has been waiting long enough and knows that what is coming cannot be stopped. Not just some of it, not the manageable portion, not the amount that fits inside what you currently think you deserve. All of it, every dimension of the new place, every aspect of the new season, every facet of what the new assignment carries. Type it now, and as you do, know that heaven is listening, and the angels are recording it, and what you declare in faith over your own life carries authority in the realm where things are made real before they are made visible. June is not arriving to repeat cycles. That is the first thing I need you to know about this month. June is not another turn of the same wheel. June is not the same old season wearing a new date. June is arriving specifically to break the cycle. The pattern of second-guessing, the pattern of almost but not quite, the pattern of the door being close and then closing again, the pattern of provision arriving and then slipping, the pattern of hope rising and then being tested until it fell, Those patterns are not your destiny. They were the terrain of the season I was using to teach you something, and the teaching is complete. June does not arrive as another lesson in waiting. June arrives as the commencement of what the waiting was preparing you for. June is the month when what has been forming in silence begins to step into view. Everything I have been doing below the surface of your circumstance, every work of preparation and positioning and provision that I have been completing in the hidden places where your eyes could not reach, June is when those works begin to become visible. June is the month of emergence, the thing I have been growing in you through every season of pressure and silence and loss. It begins to step forward in June, not all at once, not with overwhelming fanfare that bypasses the dignity of your process, but with clarity. With the specific clarity that removes doubt, with the practical evidence that silences the voice that said you were imagining it. June will not leave you where it found you. I want you to write that in your spirit and keep it there for the days ahead when something tries to convince you that June is ordinary, that nothing is shifting, that the month will pass like the others. When those moments come, return to this. Return to what your spirit received today. June will not leave you where it found you. The door opening in June will not only change your location, whether the change is literal, a physical move to a new place, a new home, a new city, a new environment, or whether the change is a new season of the spirit, a new assignment, a new atmosphere, a new condition of life. The door that opens in June will confront your fear and expose your doubt and call them by their real names and then walk past them. Because the new place does not require your fear to resolve itself before you enter. It only requires you to cross the threshold. I will handle the fear. I will handle the doubt. I will handle everything on the other side of the door once you walk through. What I need from you is the first step, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Habakkuk 2-3. My daughter, the vision over your life has an appointed time, not an approximate time, not a general window of several possible months. An appointed time, a specific point in the order of things when what I have been preparing will manifest exactly as I designed it. And that appointed time is June. The vision will come, not might come, not could come if conditions align. It will surely come. It will not tarry past the moment I have marked, and what I am doing in your spirit today is calibrating your expectation to meet what I am sending, so that when June arrives and the door opens and the new place steps into view, your spirit is not scrambling to catch up to what is already here. Your spirit is already standing at the door, already ready, already expecting, already positioned to receive. My daughter, I want you to prepare for something that will happen in the days between now and the opening that June carries. When heaven begins to move a soul into a new season, when a genuine shift is on the horizon and the divine appointment is close, the adversary does not stand still. He moves quickly. He sends something specifically designed to undo what was just built in your spirit. He will send a conversation that replays old doubt just when your faith was rising. He will send a situation that makes June feel impossible, just when you were beginning to believe it. He will send someone who speaks the language of delay at the exact moment when your expectation was highest. A word spoken in passing that lands with unusual weight. A circumstance that seems to directly contradict what you just received. A voice from inside your own mind that suddenly sounds very reasonable and very calm and very full of the language of caution. Do not be surprised by this. Do not interpret the counter-movement as evidence that what you received was false. The counter-movement is not evidence against the word. The counter-movement is confirmation that the word was real. When darkness moves quickly to send something against a truth, it is because the truth was powerful enough to threaten something. Darkness does not waste its effort on words that carry no weight. The attack after the blessing is not a sign that the blessing was illusory. It is a sign that the enemy read the same word I wrote over your life and understood what it was going to cost him. Stand in what you receive today. When the doubt comes, return to this moment. When the old voice rises, return to the declaration you typed. When someone speaks delay over your life in the days ahead, you will know what that voice is and where it comes from, and you will not give it the weight of authority over a season that was written before that person ever met you. There is something specific I want to say about the form the counter-movement most often takes, because it is rarely dramatic. It rarely arrives as an obvious attack. It almost never comes through someone who is openly hostile to you. It comes quietly. It comes through a conversation that starts ordinarily and ends with you feeling smaller than when it began. It comes through a comparison, a scroll through something that makes your next step feel inadequate before you have even taken it. It comes through a memory of a previous time when you believed for something, and it did not come through the way you expected. The enemy of your June is not a loud opposition. It is quiet erosion, small daily subtractions from the expectation I have been building in your spirit today. Guard against that. Guard the word you received. Treat what I spoke into your spirit today as something valuable enough to protect. When the small voice of erosion begins, recognize it early and return to the declaration. Return to the peace. Return to the knowing that I put in you before you even arrived at this moment. It cannot be eroded if you keep returning to its source. My daughter, I want you to do something right now that will take less than 10 seconds. Think of one person in your life who has been carrying that same restlessness, that same heaviness they cannot name. Someone who has been telling themselves it is too late. The season has passed. The door will not open for them. Someone who woke up this morning feeling exactly the weight that brought you here today, and who does not yet have words for what they are carrying. Send this message to them right now. Not with an explanation, just send it. Not because you are the one who saves them, but because I want to use your act of obedience to reach someone who needs this word as much as you did. When you become the vessel through which heaven reaches someone who needed this word, I will make sure that what you release to them returns to you multiplied in June. What you give away in faith, I give back with the full measure of the season I prepared. Type "My waiting season is over." Say it out loud if you can. Type it like the declaration it is, because the waiting that defined you is not your permanent address. It was a season with an expiration date, and that date is June. The waiting taught you, the waiting deepened you, the waiting built in you a quality of endurance and a clarity of vision that the soul who has never waited does not carry. But the teaching is complete. The waiting has served its full purpose, and now it is time for the waiting to close and the receiving to begin. Type it now. Let heaven hear you say that your waiting season is over and your June is open, my daughter. Let us pray together. Let us bring everything we have covered in this time before the God who prepared the place and marked the month and never once forgot your name. Father, I come before you with gratitude for every closed door that turned out to be mercy. I did not always receive those closings with grace. I did not always see in the moment that the refusal was protection. I came to you sometimes with frustration and sometimes with exhaustion, and sometimes with the kind of quiet despair that does not have words, only wait, and you received every version of my coming. You did not require me to arrive in perfect faith before you would listen. You received me in my doubt, and in my grief, and in my silence, and you worked in me even when I could not feel it. Thank you for not letting me settle. Thank you for making the old season uncomfortable enough that I could not choose to stay. Thank you for the discomfort that turned out to be divine eviction and not punishment. Thank you for knowing the difference between what I needed and what I wanted, and choosing to give me what I needed, even when it cost me what I wanted. Father, I ask you now for June to open with clarity, not with ambiguity that I have to spend months deciphering, not with options so numerous that I lose weeks in indecision, with clarity, with a specific clarity that names the door, that makes the right move unmistakable, that removes from my path the false doors and the detours and the imitations of blessing that would waste the season. Let June speak plainly. Let the new place be recognizable. Let the new assignment step into view in a language my spirit already knows from what you built in me today. I pray for the new place, whether it is a physical home or a spiritual season or a new chapter of assignment, to be recognized when it appears. Let my shoulders loosen before my mind has processed it. Let peace arrive ahead of my understanding. Let the recognition be so clear that no argument can talk me out of what my spirit already confirmed. I do not want to miss it, Father. I do not want to stand at the door you prepared and hesitate long enough for doubt to build a wall in front of the threshold. Meet me at the door. Let me feel you there. Let the recognition be real enough that I step forward before fear can catch up. I pray for peace that witnesses the transition, not just peace on the other side, after I am settled and stable and have evidence that the decision was right. I pray for peace during the crossing, for the deep, quiet, authoritative peace that holds its ground in the middle of the upheaval of change. For the peace that does not depend on the circumstances cooperating. For the peace that was promised not as the absence of difficulty, but as a presence stronger than difficulty. Let that peace keep my feet on the path during every step of June. Let it hold my heart when the old season tries to pull me back. Let it speak louder than the fear and quieter than the doubt and firmer than every voice that was not yours. Father, I pray for the voice that spoke delay over my life to go silent, the person who used my vulnerability against me, the voice that planted not yet in my spirit when you were saying now. I release them into your justice. I do not carry unforgiveness toward them. I do not need them to apologize for what their words cost me. I simply ask that their influence over my movement end here, that whatever echo of their voice remains in my inner conversation be replaced by the sound of your voice saying, "Go." That June become the full and visible evidence that their assessment of my season was wrong, and that what you said over my life was right. I pray to step into the new place without fear, not without respect for its significance, not without awareness of the weight of what it means to begin again, but without the paralysis that fear produces, without the self-sabotage that fear whispers at the last moment, without the second-guessing that robs the crossing of its momentum. I pray for courage on the day I see the door, courage that does not feel like the absence of difficulty but like the decision to move anyway, courage that comes from knowing who prepared the place and trusting that he does not prepare places and then abandon the ones he called to inhabit them. Father, I bring before you the grief and the confusion of the last season. I bring every month that felt like nothing was moving, every prayer that went up and seemed to dissolve before it reached you. Every morning I was not sure I had enough left to continue. I bring all of it, and I ask you to redeem it. Not just to explain it, but to use it, to transform what the old season broke in me into the very thing the new season requires of me. Let the grief become depth. Let the confusion become clarity. Let the exhaustion become rest that is real. Let the loss become space, and let the space become the room where the new thing grows. I declare over my life today that June is appointed. Not hoped for, not wished for, appointed. I declare that the waiting is over. I declare that the door is already prepared. I declare that the new place already carries my name, and that when June arrives and the door opens, I will walk through with the confidence of someone who was expected. I declare that no voice spoken against my season carries authority over what was written before I was born. I declare that the plan over my life is for peace and for a future and for hope, and that nothing the last season produced was strong enough to revise it. In Jesus' name, amen. My daughter, as this word settles in your spirit, I want to invite you to do one more thing. There is a name on your heart right now. You know who it is. The name came to you quietly somewhere in this message. Probably not the first time you thought of them today. Maybe not even consciously. But they are there. The person whose face appeared as you prayed that prayer. The person who, when you think of the word waiting, their face comes with it. The person you know is carrying what you were carrying when you came here. Sow a seed in their name today. Not because they asked, not because they know you are doing it, but because you know what it means to receive a word that names what you have been carrying in silence, and you want them to receive what you just received. The naming, the recognition, the preparation, the knowing that June is appointed. Visit the link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen, and as you give in their name, receive this over your own life. What was held back from you is being released. What was taken is being restored. What was planned against your season has already been overturned. The mouth that spoke delay over your life has lost its authority. The door that was meant for you is already open in the realm where things are prepared before they are seen. And June is the month when it crosses from that realm into yours. You are not too late. You did not miss it. The season did not pass you by in the night while you were sleeping. It is here. It is coming. It is appointed. June is yours, my daughter. The door is already prepared. The new place already carries your name. The new season is already moving toward you. And the God who told you before you could see it is the same God who will make sure you do not miss it. You are being placed. You are not forgotten. And what comes in June will prove that everything he said was true.